All right, then we'll get started. And all right, so we are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So let's do that.
I don't have. I think he was
All
going
right.
to flag on.
Okay.
I pledge
Allegiance to the
allegiance
of the
to the
United
flag
States
of
of
the United
America
States
and
and
to
to
the
the
republic
republic
for which it stands,
states,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with
liberty and justice
liberty
for
and
all.
justice for all. This is to advise those present at this meeting of the Board of Education of the Pinelands Regional School District in the County of Ocean that adequately in accordance with Board of Education office, junior high school, and high school buildings. The notice was also sent to the press of Atlantic City, Asbury Park Press, and filed with the municipal clerks of Bass River Township, Eagleswood Township, Little Egg Harbor Township, and the Borough of Tuckerton. Roll call, please.
Sure. Miss Betty?
Here.
Mr. Bonnicky? He's not on, right, Phil?
No, I do not have Mr. Bonnicky.
Okay, I will mark him absent. Miss Johnson?
Here.
Miss Crystal Martin?
Here.
Miss Patty Martin?
Here.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Here.
Mr. Vox?
Here.
Mr. Dalio?
Here.
Mr. Hewitt?
Here.
We are in session.
All right. Item number 2, Residents Forum, agenda items only. Don't believe we have any residents here.
I have the call-in information and the ID number and PIN number for people to call in on the screen right now on the stream. So you might just want to give it a few minutes for them to try to call in. You know, it takes a few minutes to connect and all that.
Okay.
Do you see anything, Phil?
I do not, but I'll let you all know if I do in the
I think
the
it's
future.
safe. There's another forum. So I mean,
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. We can always catch people at the end if there's anybody with a question.
Okay.
All right. Moving on to item number 3, report of board secretary, business administrator. Recommend the motion to approve the report of the board secretary, business administrator, item A.
So I'm going to do a little presentation before, I think, just to give you guys the information, not unless you want to do the first and second, and then I can give out the information. It's up to you. Let me do the presentation and then we'll do that
Sure.
part. Yeah.
That's fine.
All right. I'm going to share my screen. What am I doing? Maybe not. Oh, I need to allow it. What? Oh, there it is. All right. Sorry, I'm not the best at tech, but here we go. All right, so good evening. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to obtain board approval for a budget submission. As I briefly mentioned at the March meeting, we were waiting on information regarding the tax levy incentive from the state. I'm going to give a brief presentation tonight and a more detailed presentation at the public hearing at our regular April meeting. This is first, I wanted to show you the information regarding the change in our state aid from the 24-25 school year to the 25-26 school year. Even though we did get an increase for 25-26, we did not get the stabilization aid. So we are still down for 25-26 by close to 300,000. This slide shows last year's tax levy compared to this year.
Amanda, can you
Yes.
just stop? Can everyone else see that? I don't see anything.
No, I'm not seeing
I'm not
it.
either.
I'm not seeing anything.
All right. It says you are screen sharing. And it's up on my screen.
Amanda, you may be in the wrong window. You may
I only have one.
so maybe unshare and then it
Okay.
should come up like all of your different windows that you have. So when you share, pick the one with your presentation.
Hmm.
You should see it.
Can you see that?
I can see your calendar, so click
Okay.
the tab that you want.
All right.
Yeah, that looks a lot better.
Yeah, special meeting presentation up the top. See that?
Yeah, my
Click that
There we go.
tab.
got it.
There you go. Yeah,
All right.
perfect.
All right. So this was the slide I was just talking about. Can everyone see that slide?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. So I just talked about that slide. So this is the next slide. So this slide shows the last year's tax levy compared to this year. Last year, we used a healthcare adjustment, bank capped, and the standard 2% to get to an increase of 3.17%. We did have the ability to raise taxes to 9.9% last year, but we decided not to do so. In my tentative budget presentation, I presented that the tax levy increase for 25-26 was at 3.39%. This includes a healthcare adjustment and the standard 2% cap. I did mention that the state was planning on releasing information about a tax levy incentive and the ability to raise taxes more. Dr. McCooley, Dr. Frasca, and I met with the budget committee several times and went over all the information. I gave the committee multiple scenarios for a possible additional increase, and we all agreed that a total increase of 5% would be the best for the district, with keeping in mind the impact to the taxpayers. An increase of 5% gives us an additional $382,200 in the 25-26 budget. So this is the screen where it shows the 24-25, 25-26 as proposed in the tentative and the new 5% increase overall. I wanted to show you this slide because this is how much the state said we could have raised taxes to. The state uses a formula, and by their calculation, the local taxpayers are paying under their fair share in the amount of $7,365,288. This kind of increase equates to a 36% increase in the tax levy for 25-26. In our opinion, that is an unfair burden to place on the taxpayers in our community. The next two slides, one is at a valuation of 100,000, which I know is low, but if you know your house is at 400,000, you could just times this by 4. So this is the impact of that 5% or the 3.39 and then the new proposed 5% for each sending district per year. And then it's also broken down per month. So this is at 100,000 valuation. And I'll give you a minute to look at this, and I'll show you at the 300,000, which is, I think the average home is in the 200 range. So it's somewhere in between. This is at 300,000. This final slide is a document that the BAs in Ocean County have been using to kind of gauge what everyone else is doing. I did black out because it's not my information to share. I just wanted to show you what Pinelands was and what we're in comparison to the other districts. The first line is what the districts went up last year. As I said, we could have gone up to 9.9. We did stay at the 3.17, which I think is the second lowest on this list. And then for 25-26, originally it was at 3.39. And a lot of people are above that. They're at the first one is at 2%. So, we're very much in line. And then even going to 5, I think we're still on the lower end of the tax increase.
Amanda, can you just clarify too? Isn't one of the districts that didn't put on here, the 3.1 million would equate to like 32%, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
So these are all the slides I have for you tonight. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you want to continue to do the motion and the second, and then we can have questions.
Yeah, why don't we do the motion and the second, and then we can ask questions on it?
Okay, sure.
All right. All right, so the motion is to approve the report of the board secretary administrator, item A, the budget submission. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second,
Is that you, Mr. Vox?
yes,
Thank you.
sorry.
I'm getting to know everyone's voices.
All right, so it's time for questions. And since we're in this format on Zoom here, let's just
Mr.
not try
Hewitt.
and talk all at one time. So if you have questions.
Mr.
All right.
Hewitt,
Yes,
Miss Sarah James
Yes.
is actually Mr. Bonnicky. He just came in.
oh, okay, great. Thank you. All right, so do we have questions?
I have a question, Patty Martin. My question is, Amanda,
Sure.
the stabilization aid that we're lacking, that amount pretty much equals what? Our tax.
So
What we're gonna
last
get
year we
from-
got 900,000.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Bonnicky.
Yes, hello. Sorry.
It's okay. We're just fielding questions about the budget now.
Okay. Thank you much.
You're welcome. So the last year we got cut the $1.9 million. Then they gave us back 891,000 in stabilization aid. So then we were only down about $1 million. This year we started back at that 1.9. They gave us money, but they didn't give us the 900,000 for stabilization. So that's why we're still down overall from our 23-24 number to now 300,000.
What affects that stabilization number? That they didn't give us.
That's just something that when they cut the taxes, I guess they're trying to do, like this year they're giving the tax levy incentive. Sometimes they give stabilization aid. It's like they cut and then the state figures out a way to give some back. Last year it was stabilization aid. This year it's a tax levy incentive. And the tax levy incentive is basically whatever if our district went up 3.39, which included healthcare adjustment, our 2% cap. You have to exhaust all of those adjustments if you have bank cap, which we don't, and the 2%. And then if you're going to go up, so say we're proposing to go from 3.39 to 5, they're going to give us 5% of whatever the dollar increase between 3.39 and 5% is. That's all that's all the tax levy incentive is.
Right.
For it's the difference between 3.39 and 5 is 364,000. 5% of that is 18,200. So that's what the state is going to give us back as an incentive to raise taxes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Let me see. Oh, there we go.
What do we do if at the public forum, what do we do if it's not approved?
So I'm asking for approval to submit the 5% to the state, the county, the state. it has to be approved by, it has to be submitted by the 14th of April. Then they tell us whether or not we can do that or not. And then there's the public hearing and then the final adoption at that time. But it's up to the board is approving the 5% now, then they to submit. And then also, I mean, if you approve it now, that's the same percentage I would do for the public hearing in
Right.
April.
But when it goes to the state, is there, do they have an option to not?
I would say not if they're giving us this ability to
Exactly,
raise
the-
the taxes
yeah.
and the incentive. I mean, it's not, I mean, maybe if we were going to the max,
Okay,
but I wouldn't think, we've had these conversations. I wouldn't think they'd give us the opportunity to do it and then say, no, you
Just
can't. You
snatch
have
it
to do
back.
it for certain reasons. It can't just be for
right,
anything. It has to be, for, T&E, which Dr. McCauley remind me though, or Dr. Fresca.
Thorough and efficient.
They're inefficient. Okay, yes, that's the what it has to be for. Yeah.
thank you.
And Amanda, has the budgeting committee thought about decreasing the number of unnecessary admins that we have to try to save on our budget rather than having our taxpayers pay more to fund these positions that we don't need?
I don't know.
We don't get budget. We don't get any budget committee meetings. We don't get anything. It's always August and McVeigh, and I don't know who was on it last year, but it just seems like we don't get any. The rest of the board doesn't get any meetings unless it's just me not getting it, the meeting minutes. Other than, hey, we met. It went well.
Stephanie, can I say something here? I'm not privy to a lot of the details, but I do know that civil service means that once people have tenure, for lack of a better way to say it, we're stuck with some of the positions. I don't think it's easily budget cut. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Miss
We-
Betty,
We
yes,
can get rid of
you're
staff.
correct. And just to jump in here, we did have 2 administration positions this current year that were grant funded. And the board was told that if that grant money went away, the position went away. So as of next year, one of those positions is not going to be grant funded and that person will be going back in the classroom. So we are down 1 administrator last year. So the budget committee did go over all that information.
And who's that employee?
We can't bring that name up right now.
And I know I've been on the budget committee in the past. I definitely declined it this year due to the times of the meetings. I felt that, by constantly being unable to attend the meeting due to my work schedule, that's why I wasn't on it this year.
Well,
Which
this
is
year,
fine,
it
but we
was,
should still get meeting minutes.
okay, this year, the president was on the committee, myself, Betty Ann, and Mr. Bonnicky. So it just wasn't 3
Mr.
of us.
Hewitt.
The president sat
yeah,
on
he
it.
is.
Mr. Hewitt.
I keep thinking.
But it's the same committee members as last year, except for Mr. Hewitt.
Actually, I was on
But
the
he was
committee
on
last
it.
year.
Yeah, you were on it too last year, David.
Yes.
I choose to go where, like, I don't want to say my expertise falls, but when it comes to financials, I would definitely move aside for someone that has more of the financial background and knowledge than myself.
The budget process is, I mean, we meet with the administrative teams multiple times. We meet with the budget committee. It's not just me making up the numbers behind closed doors.
I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it's people who aren't going to question things and just let the admin do whatever they want. And they're like, all right, well, let's cut funding for the kids programs. Let's not give this to the kids, but admin's going to get their cell phones reimbursed. They're going to go to Texpo that they don't need to go to. They're going to get their Black Seal that's $800 a pop and they don't need it. It's all these little things that add up that we're paying for that we don't need to pay for, and no one's holding anything accountable. And the whole thing is people are running left and right, fiscal responsibility, but no one's voting for fiscal responsibility. And we have how many people on free and reduced lunch in our community? We have a high senior community that could barely feed themselves. There's so many Meals on Wheels families in this town that it's like, and then we're going to tax them even more because we want more admins and a supervisor for a supervisor or a director for a supervisor. And then who fails? Our students fail.
I think
So
Ms.
what I'm
Johnson.
saying is our budget committee is not doing their job right. So either we need to disband the committee and have the board do it all together, because the committee is not working. And having the same people on the budget committee year after year after year, you're not doing your job. I'm sorry.
I think Ms.
Well, I
Johnson,
strongly
you should be-
disagree with you, Ms. Johnson. You're
You
entitled to
can
your,
disagree all you
you're
want.
entitled to your
You're on the
opinion.
budget committee and you're
You're
failing.
entitled to your
Can we mute
opinion.
Miss Johnson so Mr. Dalio can have a thought? Because it's not, it's someone else's turn now.
You know, I know, no, that's all I really wanted to say. I mean, she continues talking. She likes to interrupt everyone and tell everyone else what they know and how bad they are. So I'm a little tired of it, but she's entitled to her opinion. I think the committee, you know, with Mr. Hewitt on it, and you can speak to Mr. Hewitt, the president, and he can give you his feelings on how the committee functioned. So, I mean, I think that's a good testament to how well we work together. We are very much involved.
But you don't give any information to the rest of the board members. We're supposed to get meeting minutes from every committee. We don't get it. So why are we not getting it? Why do we not get meeting minutes for the negotiation committee and the budget committee? So I'm voting blindly. Miss Miss Lisa Betty is voting blindly. Patty Martin, Crystal Martin, Brian Vaux, we're all voting blindly because we don't have many meeting minutes, and it's very frustrating. So that's why.
May I take a moment and address that, Ms. Johnson?
Mr. Hewitt, I'm not voting blindly. I take it upon myself to get answers to specific questions that I have or things that I may not fully have formed my opinion on. I definitely try to do my legwork in advance. So I'm definitely not voting blindly today.
So you got a lot more answers than obviously I ever get. So good. I'm glad you get your
It's
answers.
just that I don't want to say you don't ask, Stephanie. I don't mean it like that. But if there's something that pops out at me or when I'm reading through things and then the potential for tax increase, I mean, it's the last thing that, you know, I agree with you 100% on the free and reduced lunch, the seniors in our communities. I mean, everyone's struggling. I feel like we're all in this together, but I do have faith in the members of the budget committee. I've been on it in the past with them. That being said, just because I have faith doesn't mean that I don't do my background and my research. I feel like it's my job as Bass River's rep to make sure I understand what exactly is going on. So I try to find out answers and stuff. Maybe in the future, we could get a written meeting minutes. Is that something we could talk about in the future? For the specific committees, I know SALT committee, you know, I think we could definitely, you know, discuss that, but I don't want anyone to think that I'm voting blindly. I've in fact even spoken to two people in Bass River, actually brought up with me if I had any idea if there was going to be a tax increase or not. And at the time I didn't. And, you know, I told them that I knew it was my responsibility to avoid and to represent the voters, the taxpayers, you know, to the best of my ability. And that's what I intend to do. And I don't want you to think that, or anyone to think that I don't ask my questions or do my research, because that's, trust me, Friday evenings and Saturday mornings, it's when I try to get everything, you know, addressed, etc. I hate that I email people on the weekends. I know you're off on specific, the weekends, but that's my time to send my messages and stuff.
Thank you, Patty. Sure. And Stephanie, I didn't really think much about updating the board on the budget committee meetings, and that's not out of trying to hide anything. That's just I didn't really think about updating the board. Actually, Mr. Dalio brought it to my attention on Thursday that at the next regular board meeting, we should update the board on the budget committee. I actually thought, last month, I went and watched Amanda's presentation about the budget, and there was a lot of information in there that was very thorough. And, you know, you can say that I could have given you more, and that's fine. I understand that. No one's trying to hide anything from you. Are there any other questions?
If it's okay, I'd like to speak. I don't really have a question, but I do want to speak to the process that personally, I tried to make sure taxes were raised the least amount of money possible. We have another school district here in Little Egg that is going to clobber our taxpayers, and we are quasi paying the price for their malfeasance. And we had to do everything we could possibly do to keep this budget at the lowest amount so that we didn't add on to that misery that's going to happen when they get their tax bills. The other priority, and of course it should be the number one priority in everything that we do, is taking care of our students. And I can speak for myself and the rest of the board that we wanted zero taken away from the students this year. And nothing was taken away from the students, with the least amount of pain delivered to our taxpayers. And the future of our town, I fear that the kids that have grown up in this town will never be able to afford to live in this town because of real estate prices and taxes. So we did everything that we could possibly do to keep that tax rate as low as possible. I promise you that.
You could try to throw Little Egg underneath the bus, but look who their CSA was and who they're paying salaries off of the ESSER funds. So it's like the administration is really messing up now, and then it's just coming to an head. So
I'm not throwing
let's not
anybody.
blame Little Egg Harbor Board and
I'm not
the new
throwing anybody under
superintendent.
the
Let's look
bus.
back
I
at
am
who the
merely stating.
superintendent was.
I am merely stating facts of what the situation is. Their increase is going to be over 30%. The average taxpayer alone is going to be paying. I'm speaking here.
Please
I am
stop talking
speaking
over
here.
her.
I am speaking. Thank you.
I was
The
talking
average
first and
tax,
she
the
interrupted me,
average
and I have to
taxpayer,
stop.
the average
No, you weren't.
taxpayer, the average taxpayer in Little Egg Harbor alone is going to be paying over $600 additional taxes next year. I am not throwing anybody under the bus. I am stating facts. And if we had been able to negotiate shared services via BA, superintendent, food services, busing, we could have saved both the districts millions of dollars. And you can shake your head no all you want, but that's the truth. Millions of dollars and taxes, let alone trying to get consolidation, which would have really solved the problem. But no one wanted to do that, and here we sit. Luckily, with the administration that we have here, we're not going to raise taxes to an exorbitant amount, and the budget committee was very much aware of that. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions about the budget that was presented?
Could I see the slide one more time, how it impacts the specific districts?
Sure.
And that's based upon the number of students per right?
We get a regional allocation, so it's the this is per 100,000. So
Per
it's
100,000. Okay.
so it's the percentage of this percentage share of each district has for the regional. So that's how it gets chopped up.
I know it sounds ridiculous, and again, I'm not the financial person. Was there ever the opportunity, I know this is gonna sound ridiculous, but of like just dividing it all up?
You can't do that.
You can't,
no,
okay.
No.
I could, it didn't hurt to ask, Amanda.
Yes, that would be, I mean, it wouldn't be fair that way.
I
don't think,
know, I
it's like
know.
who this is the percent. And actually, I think Bass River's enrollment is down. So it like the
Yeah.
regional allocation changed a little bit this
I
year.
know. It's
Amanda, can you go to the last slide again too?
This one?
Yes.
Yes.
So with this, I know Amanda went over this very well, but I just want to be clear to the board with this slide is it's showing all of the school districts in Ocean County that the state of New Jersey has said the students are not being funded adequately per the taxpayer. Now, we don't necessarily agree with that, but they're giving us the ability to catch up and make sure that they're adequately funded. And they're putting the burden back on our local taxpayer. But as you can see, most of these districts are going up far more than we are. And if you look at the year prior, some of them maybe are going up only 4%, but the year prior they went up 9%. And as Amanda explained, last year we went up 3.17, and this year 3.39 plus the additional is bringing us to 5%. It's not a lot. We could theoretically go up over 30% because that's what they're telling us. The state of New Jersey is saying in their formula, we should be getting 30% more tax revenue from our taxpayers for our students to be adequately funded. Now, that's a huge burden on the taxpayers, Betty Ann was saying, and we wouldn't do that. So we spent many hours and many questions were answered going over scenarios and looking at different areas of the budget that we can find that balance between raising taxes slightly to get closer to that adequacy level and making sure that it's not an unnecessary burden on the taxpayer knowing our population. So 5% is really, it's not a lot of money. And as Betty Ann said, a local district is going to that 30%, and it's astronomical. It's way too much. But just look at some of the other districts in our county that are also deemed inadequate, and they are going up as well.
But those towns in the districts have higher incomes than Little Lake Harbor.
You have no idea what the incomes. You don't even know what the districts are. They're all blacked out.
I understand, but I know what Ocean County is, Melissa. I'm not an idiot.
All right, Mr. Hewitt, can we have a vote if there's no more questions?
Are there any more questions?
Also like to just make a statement. I appreciate all of your hard work, and I appreciate the fact that you're not necessarily just jumping on the state's bandwagon, because I, for one, don't have that much faith in the state and their numbers with taxes and everything else right now. So thank you for not going with what they were recommending, because that is just ridiculous.
Of course.
I
Absolutely.
would like to, Mr. President.
My fellow taxpayers, just me as a taxpayer, I couldn't.
I have a question, and I should know the answer to this. Why is Eagleswood so high comparatively?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah, you can go.
I was just going to say to Miss Betty, Eagleswood was not part of the formula, but you're asking about what they pay in taxes. That's based on their ratables.
And their regional allocation went up a little bit. So they have more students that make up our population. So theirs might be a little bit more. Bass Rivers went down and Eagleswoods went up. They're all about like, it's 75% is Little Egg, 13 and change is Tuckerton, 6 is Eagleswood, and 5, or it's dipping below 5, is from Bass River.
And that's because our enrollment is down.
Correct. It's based on the October 15th ASSA count.
Okay.
So it's saying that Eagleswood has grown almost significantly. Right?
The enrollment is going up, and I can share that regional allocation number.
Would you mind that?
Sure, of course. Yep. I'll write it out.
You have a lot of developments, brand new developments in there. I just want to say real quick, just that when the committee met, there was a lot of lively debate amongst the members. Very passionate questions, and now I wouldn't say heated, but passionate about, what the numbers are, where's the cuts, what are we going to do, what are we planning for the next year. Just because you don't see what we're doing, we do work in good faith for the board as a committee, and we did ask a lot of hard questions to find out what's the president has, Ms. McVeigh did, I did. We came to consensus on 5% was the best way to go for the district. Amanda, I thank you very much for all your hard work, burning the midnight oil on this, and thank you for explaining it. So I fully understood where your thought processes were, and I want to thank the committee too. I don't even think this year I even asked to be on a committee. It just happened to be that way. I think Mr. Bramoniki was the president at the time, and he put an email out, and I responded. But thank you very much.
All right. Do we have any more questions? All right. Seeing none, let's go to a vote. Amanda, roll call, please.
Sure. Miss Betty,
Yes.
Mr. Bonnicky,
Yes.
Miss Johnson,
No.
Miss Crystal,
Yes.
Miss Patty Martin,
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh,
Yes.
Mr. Vaux,
Yes.
Mr. Dalio,
Yes.
Mr. Hewitt,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. Item number 4 is residents forum, general topics. Do we have any members from the public?
We do not, sir, and I've had the call-in info on this the whole time. So if you want to wait a few minutes, that's fine, but we have not had anyone waiting.
Thank you, Phil.
No problem.
Let's give it a moment here and then. All right, seeing that we have no one from the public wishing to give input. Motion for adjournment. Yeah,
I wonder if it's us or.
I think he's a little frozen, so maybe,
Okay.
You got locked up.
Augie, you want to say it again, motion to adjourn?
Yeah, can I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion.
Second.
All ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you very much. The meeting is
Thank
adjourned.
you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks.